Welcome to episode 41 of your CYSA Plus Prepcast. Today we are focusing on the important topic of detecting abnormal user behavior. This capability is foundational to identifying early signs of compromise, insider threats, and unauthorized activity within an organization. Cybersecurity analysts rely on detailed behavioral data to determine when users are acting in ways that do not align with their known patterns or roles. Abnormal user behavior often precedes or accompanies major security incidents. Developing a strong understanding of how to baseline, monitor, and detect these deviations helps analysts respond rapidly, prevent breaches, and mitigate insider threats. In this episode, we will walk through common indicators of abnormal activity, detection techniques, monitoring tools, and strategies for using behavioral analysis to improve both incident response and organizational resilience. To begin, abnormal user behavior refers to activity that significantly deviates from a user's normal patterns. This deviation could be technical, such as accessing systems at unusual times, or contextual, such as accessing sensitive data that the user does not typically interact with. These behaviors are often subtle, but when detected early can reveal compromised accounts, unauthorized access, or malicious insider actions. Detecting these anomalies requires analysts to understand both expected user behavior and the tools available to compare real-time actions against that baseline. One of the primary technologies used for this purpose is user and entity behavior analytics. These platforms continuously monitor user activity, build behavioral profiles over time, and compare current actions against historical patterns. When anomalies are detected, the system generates alerts that are forwarded to analysts for further investigation. These alerts are prioritized based on severity, deviation from the baseline, and potential impact. Analysts use these alerts to identify which users require further scrutiny and what specific behaviors triggered concern. A common and easily observable indicator of abnormal behavior is unusual login timing. If a user who typically logs in during business hours suddenly accesses systems in the middle of the night or on a weekend, this deviation warrants investigation. While there may be valid reasons, such as after-hours maintenance or remote work, these activities should be verified. Sudden changes in login patterns are often associated with credential theft, especially if combined with other anomalies. Another key signal is login location. If a user logs in from two geographically distant locations in a short period, this creates an impossible travel scenario. For example, a user logging in from New York followed by an access attempt from Singapore 20 minutes later, is physically impossible. This behavior strongly suggests credential compromise or unauthorized session hijacking. Analysts must investigate these patterns promptly to confirm whether the activity is legitimate or part of a broader attack. Authentication anomalies are also significant. Repeated failed logging attempts, sudden password resets, or unusual multi-factor authentication prompts may indicate brute force attacks or credential stuffing. If the authentication method changes unexpectedly, such as switching from a typical hardware token to a new mobile app, the behavior must be verified. Tracking authentication patterns helps distinguish between user error and malicious access attempts. Data access behavior provides another critical perspective. If a user who rarely downloads files suddenly accesses and downloads large quantities of sensitive data, the activity could indicate insider threat or data exfiltration. Accessing confidential information outside of the user's normal responsibilities is another red flag. Analysts must cross-reference access logs with role-based access expectations to determine whether the behavior is legitimate or cause for concern. Attempted access to restricted resources is also a valuable anomaly indicator. When users try to connect to administrative consoles, restricted servers, or protected file shares without prior authorization, the attempt should be logged and investigated. These behaviors may indicate privilege escalation efforts, internal reconnaissance, or compromised accounts attempting to expand access. Analysts should verify the context of these attempts and escalate if necessary. Monitoring session behavior can uncover hidden threats. Analysts look for patterns, such as multiple concurrent sessions from the same account, logouts that occur immediately after accessing sensitive data, or unusually long or short session durations. These behaviors might indicate account sharing, script-based automation, or attacker activity attempting to avoid detection. Session data provides analysts with a real-time view, into how user accounts are being used. Advanced behavior analysis platforms, powered by machine learning or artificial intelligence, offer deeper capabilities. These systems identify subtle and previously unseen anomalies by detecting patterns that fall outside the scope of simple rule-based systems. For example, they may recognize that a user is interacting with systems in a new sequence, or transferring data in volumes slightly higher than usual. These nuances may be missed by traditional monitoring tools but can signal early stages of compromise. To improve analysis accuracy, analysts must correlate behavioral anomalies with other forms of data. This includes firewall logs, endpoint activity, network traffic, and threat intelligence indicators. A single behavior, such as logging in from a new location, might not be enough to trigger an investigation, but when combined with known malware communications, unusual file activity, or external threat alerts, the risk profile increases. Correlation supports more informed decision-making and reduces the number of false positives analysts must manage. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other security courses on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Analysts often rely on security information and event management platforms to aggregate user activity logs from various systems. These platforms enable centralized analysis of authentication records, file access events, application usage, and network behaviors. By correlating this data across multiple sources, analysts can detect abnormal patterns that would otherwise go unnoticed if viewed in isolation. For example, if a user accesses sensitive databases, downloads multiple files, and then attempts to connect to an external server, each action alone might not raise concern. Combined, however, they may indicate data exfiltration in progress. Maintaining accurate baselines of normal behavior is critical for distinguishing genuine threats from harmless anomalies. Baselines are built by continuously analyzing user activity over time. These baselines evolve as users change roles, adopt new tools, or adjust workflows. Analysts must ensure that behavior profiles are regularly reviewed and updated to avoid unnecessary alerts or overlooked risks. When a baseline is accurate, deviations from it carry greater significance and can be acted upon with higher confidence. Endpoint detection and response solutions provide an additional layer of visibility into abnormal user behaviors. These tools monitor device-level activities, including application launches, file access attempts, system configuration changes, and command line usage. Analysts use EDR platforms to quickly detect behaviors such as unauthorized software installations, repeated access to restricted files, or unexpected registry edits. These observations may indicate malware execution, insider misuse, or the use of attacker tools by a compromised account. Monitoring privileged accounts is a top priority in behavior analytics. Privileged users have access to sensitive systems, administrative controls, and critical business data. Abnormal behaviors from these accounts present elevated risk. Analysts closely watch for signs of unauthorized privilege escalation, unusual command executions, or login attempts outside expected working hours. Privilege account monitoring can help detect insider threats as well as attackers who have successfully compromised high-value credentials. Honeypots and deception technologies offer another method of detecting abnormal behavior. These tools simulate valuable resources, such as fake databases or administrative panels, and are designed to attract unauthorized access. Since legitimate users have no reason to interact with honeypots, any attempt to access them is considered suspicious. Analysts monitor these systems to identify internal actors exhibiting malicious behavior or external attackers moving laterally within the environment after an initial compromise. User session recording and auditing solutions capture detailed logs or screen recordings of user activity. These records are especially useful in environments where compliance or operational transparency is essential. Analysts can replay user sessions to verify suspicious behaviors, confirm policy violations, or reconstruct the timeline of malicious actions. Session recording also deters insider misuse by increasing the likelihood that inappropriate behavior will be detected and documented. When abnormal behavior is detected, analysts must move quickly to contain the threat. Incident response actions may include suspending the affected account, resetting passwords, enforcing multi-factor authentication, or isolating impacted systems. Follow-up investigations are performed to determine whether the anomaly was caused by legitimate behavior or represents a security incident. Documentation of actions taken during this phase supports audit requirements and informs future response improvements. Behavioral detection capabilities are regularly validated through penetration testing, red team exercises, and adversary emulation. These assessments test how well security systems and analysts respond to simulated attacks involving abnormal user behaviors. For example, red team operators may attempt to simulate credential misuse, lateral movement, or privilege abuse. The outcome of these tests helps analysts identify blind spots, tune detection tools, and improve response workflow. Documenting abnormal behavior incidents is essential for compliance, training, and long-term learning. Reports should include a timeline of events, the nature of the observed behaviors, system responses, analyst actions, and any remediation steps taken. These records help refine detection models and serve as case studies for educating analysts. Proper documentation also supports post-incident reviews and helps identify whether similar behaviors have occurred previously in the environment. User awareness and training play a vital role in improving the overall effectiveness of behavior monitoring. Employees must understand how their actions are monitored and why they are expected to report suspicious behavior. Awareness campaigns can teach users how to recognize phishing attempts, account misuse, or policy violations among peers. By fostering a security-aware culture, organizations reduce the number of false positives and increase the likelihood that true anomalies are reported promptly. To summarize Episode 41, detecting abnormal user behavior is one of the most proactive tools available to cybersecurity analysts. Through baseline profiling, cross-punctual correlation, endpoint visibility, and behavioral analytics, organizations can identify threats before they escalate into full-scale breaches. This approach not only strengthens detection and response, but also builds organizational resilience through user education, clear documentation, and collaborative security efforts. Whether preparing for the CYSA Plus exam or improving your organization's defense posture, mastering these techniques is a crucial step toward more effective security operation. Thanks for listening. To learn more about cybersecurity, please visit baremetalcyber.com. There you will find best-selling books, videos, and even more free cybersecurity training courses. Please subscribe to the Prepcast and our various podcasts. And thanks for listening.